Are you confident that your children's foundational values are grounded in truth? I'm not.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. If I was your kid, I'd probably believe a lot of nonsense. Let's raise our kids right, not with political agendas. We need to teach children that abortion is immoral. We need to teach them that critical race theory is evil. We need to teach them that free healthcare is bad and it's not really free and it'll institute communism. We need to stop these political agendas from poisoning our youth. The left is waging a war on our kids. The push to teach our children about transgenderism. Well, why wouldn't you teach kids about like a real life like phenomenon? Communism. Well, you have to teach kids about what communism is for them to like have a like an understanding about history. CRT, like there's not a real push to teach kids CRT. Again, it's mostly restricted in law schools. Is wrong. Okay, we're gonna erase the history books. Got it. They cancel anything that doesn't deliberately push their agenda. Paw Patrol, Dr. Seuss, the list goes on. Look, there's not a push to cancel Paw Patrol. That's literally just a meme. They cancel anything that doesn't deliberately push their agenda. And that is why the Texas GOP has now taken out MLK's I Have a Dream speech from required teaching curriculum to youth, and has also banned teaching that the Ku Klux Klan is morally wrong. Brilliant. I gotta see. What is this video I'm about to open up a can of worms into? Okay, let's see it. I want to hear. Let's hear about how the children are being inducted into communist CRT.
But this time, it's different. This time, they're targeting our kids with this stuff.
Kid-friendly networks like Nickelodeon are presenting confusing topics like transgenderism.
Transgenderism. Introducing confusing topics.
And sexuality to our kids. All packaged in rainbows and glitter.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is, none of these people must have ever watched TV. This woman must have never watched TV. This guy back here must have never watched TV. Because if you watch TV through the 70s, 80s, and 90s as a child, then you must be familiar with a man by the name of Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was the king of educational, top-tier content for children. He was the king of it. He knew how to tackle complex subjects with precision. He would make whole episodes on things like abuse, divorce, and complicated issues that are in the news that children must have heard about, just even if it's through secondhand sources. And he would tackle them in responsible ways. Because whether you like it or not, the world is there impacting your children. Children consume media. Children can see right in front of them. Children are not nearly as stupid as you believe. So, since they're going to be interacting with a world around them, which is not as loving, I think tackling these issues at a young age is important to give them a rounded education about the type of world they're going to be dealing with as they grow up and the issues of the time. That's important. Number two, childhood education is some of the most important times is some of the most important period of time for you to actually teach a child. That's when you should originally get them into reading. That's when you should get them into English and history. Because if you can hook them when they're young, when it comes to education, it's going to be a lot easier down the line teaching them stuff. If you can get a kid to want to read, this is going to be a lot easier to get them to read. With that in mind, teaching them simple values that all children should know, like not to bully other kids, be nice to your neighbor, sharing is caring, are things that I think should be taught through children's entertainment and children's television. If you look at modern children's television, it is disgusting. And it's not because there's gay people in it, or that they had a pride parade in Blue's Clues with alligators with rainbow flags. It is because it's brain rot. If you look at modern children's entertainment, it's repeating colors and numbers and flashy on-screen just shapes moving around. Anything to catch a child's attention. If you look how YouTube Kids has exploited AI to make repetitive content that teaches children basically nothing. It's disgusting slop that we're selling as children's entertainment. That is not children's entertainment in the theme and of the tradition of Mr. Rogers. Because it doesn't help children. It doesn't teach children. It doesn't give them anything. I think it actively hurts children because it's robbing them of a valuable educational opportunity. And so having programs trying to tackle complicated topics, like why you shouldn't bully a kid because they're different, whether they be gay or straight, and that being gay, being transgender, being any of these things is perfectly okay. It's perfectly fine to teach through children's entertainment. If Mr. Rogers could tackle issues like terrorism and divorce and abuse with children, and he could do it in a responsible manner, then I hope we can do the same thing when it tells children to accept others, no matter if they're gay, straight, black, white, or whatever. I think that's perfectly fine to teach children. And I applaud Nickelodeon for trying to make an attempt at that. And by the way, a lot of these transgender and gay pushes isn't even necessarily episodes talking about issues around gay issues or trans issues. It's actually just there's a gay person on screen and that's too scary. Well, I'm sorry, but the world is full of all different types of people, and I think representing gay people in children's media is important to prepare them for the world they're going to be interacting with as they get older.
Genderism and sexuality to our kids, all packaged in rainbows and glitter.
Schools are using your tax dollars to push critical race theory on our children, creating
Critical race theory is taught in college-level law school programs. If I found out that my child was learning critical race theory, I would sit them down and ask them when they became a genius. Because if I have a child that's legitimately tackling critical race theory, which is a college-level law school program, I would be in immense shock at their educational prowess. But that's just me.
a new generation of racists.
Popular social media platforms like TikTok allow children to create an account at the young age of 13 years old while fostering content that not only promotes abortion but fetishizes it.
What? Okay. TikTok does not, as a platform, promote abortion. It does not promote abortion, it does not facilitate abortion, and it does not fetishize abortion. Individual content creators might say abortion is okay, which is protected speech under the First Amendment. Maybe you believe TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook should ban anybody who is, like saying abortion should be legal, which is, by the way, protected by the Constitution of the United States of America. But that's your business. It's not TikTok promoting that, it's individual TikTok creators. And let me just be clear. TikTok is not just a platform for like children doing flossing. A lot of adults use the platform as well, just like a lot of young people use Twitter, a lot of older people use Twitter. It is your job as a parent to try to monitor what type of content your child consumes on social media, if you choose to allow your child to use social media at all. Personally, I don't know if I had a child if I would even allow them to have social media until they maybe hit the age of 16. Now you can talk about maybe the social media platform should have child-friendly options where if they click this, then there's certain content they will not see on platforms. But that's a totally different discussion. It is a social media platform, and on social media, people express different opinions. So on TikTok and on Twitter and on Facebook, you're going to find content that supports women's right to have an abortion, and you're also going to find pro-Trump people trying to ban abortion, which is also on TikTok. But that's not something she's going to highlight, is it?
The teachers' unions and school boards are pushing extremist race theories and woke values.
When he says extremist race theories, what does he mean? Does he mean stuff like intersectionality, which is pretty basic and easy to understand in my opinion? What exactly does he mean?
Instead of teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, and American values.
Okay, reading and writing. So basically what you're telling me is that they're giving these children books on critical race theory, which is a college level law program, but they don't know how to read? They're not teaching them how to read? Gonna need to see sources that they're like, we're scratching the English portion, so all of my children are illiterate, but here's a college level, boom, textbook teaching you critical race theory. That's really interesting, and teaching them American values. So on one hand, you're complaining about children being taught values in television that is accepting of gay people, and complaining about woke values that talks about how racism is a problem. But then you talk about your own values, which you label American values, that should be taught in schools. So no longer is this that for us, it's actually that parents should be teaching children this. No, you do want the education system to teach children values. You just want them to be your values. What do you think is American values? Because personally, my American values is probably a lot different than what you consider American values. Definitely if you're going after things like abortion, which is protected by the United States Constitution.
To the next generation from the earliest age.
We must fight back by educating our children with the values that we stand for.
Are you tired of sitting back on the sidelines watching this propaganda poison our children?
I can't, what is the poison? Hey, Billy, being gay is okay, and if you happen to be gay, you should love yourself? Oh God, that's disastrous. By the way, I do want to bring up the fact, and I bring this up at any point I can, that anti-discrimination courses and courses that teach LGBTQ plus acceptance in particular lower mental health crises in youth, not only gay and queer youth, but also straight youth as well. So it has better mental health outcomes for LGBTQ plus youth and straight youth. And this is the poison that is hurting the children, even though we actively seeing it benefit children actively right now and in the future. That's a weird type of poison. I've never seen a poison that when you drink it, it makes you have better health outcomes.
Our children have to realize that elephants are not birds, and boys are not girls.
Oh my God.
There are only two genders, and they're not interchangeable.
Well, but now you're not talking about teaching children reality anymore. Now you're teaching them like the social constructs.
Our kids have to know that your skin color doesn't determine your success or hold you back from it. And hating white people won't solve your problems. It's actually just racist.
Please point me to any children's textbook which says, hate whitey, get them crackers. Because I would love to see that. Because I don't think a textbook talking about taking an honest look at racism, an honest look at it, is hating white people. Unless you've got a lot of like self-worth issues and a lack of self-confidence. Because I never thought that addressing racism or looking at racism honestly made me feel worse. It never did. Because I don't feel ashamed to be white. Maybe you do, but I don't. That I need these types of like propaganda pieces on the internet to make me feel better so I can complain about CRT. And also, for us to just ignore the fact that being black has statistical impacts on your outcomes in life would be ahistorical if we don't examine the fact that if you're a black person, you're much more likely to be put on death row if you commit a crime, and you're much more likely to be put on death row if the victim of the crime is white, comparative to if the victim of the crime is black. Or we could talk about marijuana charges and how even though white and black people use marijuana at similar rates, what's the outcome? Black people are more likely to be charged, arrested, and booked for marijuana charges than white people. These are statistical realities. If you want us to lie to our children, just be honest about it. Now, I'm saying all children should be treated equally, but we cannot pretend that that is the current reality that we live in the United States, because it isn't.
And hating white people won't solve your problems. It's actually just racist.
Our kids have to know that life is precious and that we all have a right to life, not a right to take life.
Okay, so we need to teach children that abortion is evil. But we need to stop this propaganda. This is brilliant.
When someone promises you something for free, there's always a catch. Always.
It's time for conservatives to start playing offense.
We need to equip our children with the truth.
Let's raise our kids right, not with political agenda.
What? Let's raise our kids right, not with political agendas. We need to teach children that abortion is immoral. We need to teach them that critical race theory is evil. We need to teach them that free health care is bad, and it's not really free, and it'll institute communism. We need to stop these political agendas from poisoning our youth and keep the queers away from the kids.
Brave Books is our solution to this, arming parents with children's books specifically designed to combat the culture war.
We know discussing some of these issues with our kids can be tough, which is why we include games and a workbook for parents at the end of every book.
And we want to be a long-term solution.
So they're talking about complicated issues. In the beginning of this, they were like, well, the problem with all these lefty shit is it's too complicated, too nonsensical. Anyway, let's all tell children why abortion is wrong. Too complicated. We can't talk about how gays exist. I mean, that'd be too difficult to say. Being gay is okay, don't worry about it. But explaining the deep moral quandary that is the issue of abortion, that's perfectly fine for a children's book. Look at this. Look at this. Little Lives Matter. A play on Black Lives Matter, obviously. And, you know, it's using that to be basically like abortion needs to be done away with. And elephants are not birds, which I think we all can tell what that's about. And this is a thing about stopping propaganda. So even though all the things they talked about, I wouldn't label propaganda, but let's say for a moment that everything that I've already explained why I have a problem with getting rid of or not teaching children why being gay is okay, let's all wipe that away for a moment. Their solution for propaganda is just more propaganda. Absolutely bizarre. The fuck is Little Lives Matter? It's basically going to be a commentary on like, all these protesters say Black Lives Matter, but what about abortion? That's what it's going to be.
So we added an option for you to subscribe and get a book a month, each partnered with a new conservative icon.
I kind of want to sign up and get these books and read them on stream.
They want to cancel Paw Patrol.
No, they don't.
They want to cancel Dr.
I mean, like, it's not... I mean, is it really that weird to say that painting black people with bones in their nose and the N-word and Chinese people in straw hats with, like, chopsticks running around eating rice is not the best description or, like, way to paint the Asian community? Is that really a wild conclusion?
Seuss. But they won't cancel us. And we aren't backing down.
These are our kids.
Well, we need to fight the propaganda by propagandaing harder. Beautiful. Let's go look at the books they have available. Elephants Are Not Birds. Let me see. Brave Books and Ashley St. Clair. Oh, Ashley St. Clair of the St. Clair family? Have partnered together to tackle the topic of gender in our book Elephants Are Not Birds, which follows the story of an elephant named Kevin. Most can see that there is a distinct difference between an elephant and a bird, but in this story we'll see even those lines are blurred when the lies of the culture vulture are accepted as truth. Culture vulture convinces Kevin that his ability to sing is one that only birds have, so logically that means he is a bird. The lies and logic from culture, the vulture, parallels what our culture is attempting to feed the youth of today. The story Elephants Are Not Birds arrives at a similar conclusion society will arrive at when it comes to the idea of gender identity. Boys are not girls, and elephants are not birds. Man, that's crazy. But there's like only one like big problem with Elephants Are Not Birds, which I kind of want to buy now. Species and gender are two totally different things. One, species is like two totally different categories of living beings, where gender is quite literally, scientifically, a social construct. But who cares? Let's just tell children to call trans people the T-slur. Gonna be a real blast.
Are you confident that your children's foundational values are grounded in truth? I'm not.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. If I was your kid, I'd probably believe a lot of nonsense.
Trent Talbot, founder of Brave Books. When my daughter was born, I realized I couldn't rely on the culture around me to teach my children good values. These values they need to work hard, care for the weak, to appreciate the freedom we adore in America.
That's why I should teach everyone's other children to be bigots. God, man, I really don't understand how his solution to what he believes is an issue of propagandizing children is just propagandize harder. Shouldn't his solution be, let's just not propagandize the children? But his is like, no, let's just go in the other direction.
That's why we at Brave Books have written stories with timeless virtues for the next generation. These stories take place in our brave universe, where our heroes of freedom...
You know what sucks the most? The art actually looks really cool, and I like the art style. That sucks the most.
Island are facing the same villainous ideologies that our children face in our culture today.
The same villainous ideologies, Jesus.
These are more than just cleverly crafted stories. Each book is specifically designed to equip your children to fight in our land the same way our heroes defend Freedom Island. Every story comes with a complimentary Brave challenge that will guide family discussion about important topics such as gender identity, sanctity of life, communism versus capitalism, cancel culture, critical
The island of free ice cream. Oh my god.
race theory, and so much more.
I can't wait to see the critical race theory one. So Jonathan the ostrich was very angry because his ancestors were taken in slave ships to the island, and he's really angry because a lot of unarmed ostriches have been shot recently. But really, maybe the ostrich should think about the problems the rest of us face. I can't wait for these books to all come out in their entirety. I'm excited. I'm excited for this new series of educational stuff. Like I have been waiting for a good education for a while, and I'll finally get it. I can just drop out of UMD now and just read these books. This is a great program.